Welcome to Deeply Rooted, a web series on mindset. My name is Tony Wisdom, aka Tony Gaines. I've spent over 20 years in the music business as a producer, engineer, label owner, and executive. This show is dedicated to changing the narrative on success. I reached out to the most successful people I know. I want to know what drives them, their greatest mistakes, their best advice, their secrets to success, and how all of that has shaped who they are today. Take a journey with us.
I don't know what's going on here. There we are. Hey, everybody. Deeply Rooted, Season 5, Episode 4, with Anil Gupta. And I'm so excited about this one, and I'll share a little story. One of the reasons this show just kind of came out of nowhere and honestly exists is because of the motivation and wisdom of this next guest and his family. They run a beautiful clubhouse room every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern called The Power of Love, Belief, Focus, Mindset, and Gratitude. And that's where I encountered Anil. And the very first day that I came in that room, it was February 14th, which for those of you that know me is the anniversary of my shooting. And it was really early in the morning, and I was out on a yardie setup. I own a yard card company in Kansas. And it was snowing. It was actually a blizzard, and the setup was out in the country. And I usually, for the past, my shooting was 7 years ago. So for the past 6 years prior to this, I kind of had bad feelings on this day, right? And I get in this clubhouse room, and something that was said, I'm not sure what, inspired me to share my story. And that's when I encountered Anil and his son, AJ. And, they were so supportive of my story and intrigued by my story. And Anil instantly said, "When's your book coming out?" And I've been in that room ever since. And I started Deeply Rooted that day. That night, I started it. And a lot of growth has happened for me this year. I mean, going to the Tony Robbins event and starting Deeply Rooted and all the social media pages and all the things that I do, and a lot of it comes from the time that I spend and the wisdom that I get from Anil, and his family, his wife, Mina, his daughter, Anu, his son, AJ. Anil overcame suicide in 2008. He has a great TED Talk where he talks about that, and I advise everyone check that out. He's spoken on Fox News, Harvard, Sky TV, TEDx, written a best-selling book. He's one of the top relationship coaches in the world. He's rubbed shoulders with Richard Branson, Mike Tyson, Wimbledon champions, heads of state, royalty, billionaires. I mean, this guy is truly amazing. And the last thing I'll say before I bring him on is after I was doing this show for a couple weeks, I was feeling myself, and I jumped in Clubhouse and I asked Anil, "Hey, you want to come on the show?" And his answer was so beautiful. He said, "I would love to come on your show, but I'm going to need you to get more reach so we can have the biggest effect possible." And that has put the battery in my back. And now we're in season 5, and I asked him again, and he agreed. So to me, that this is like a championship trophy for Deeply Rooted. So without further ado, I could ramble all day about this guy, but without further ado, I'm going to bring on Anil, and we're going to start this awesome conversation. So thanks for tuning in. There he is. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Tony, that's a beautiful entrance introduction. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. You really have inspired me, and just the way you guys show up in the world every day is just I'm honored to be able to bear witness. So, and when we met at UPW, I told you, I don't know if you can still hear me, but I told you, thank you for the example you've set as a father and for the beautiful family that you've raised, because you guys are truly changing lives and you've changed mine. So thank you. So before we get into this, Anil, and as anybody can see, we both have our heart shirts on, right? Anytime you see Anil, he has this shirt on because he's all about love. He's the love doctor. So before we get into the conversation, this really isn't about your professional history or your background or anything. It's more about your mindset. But I like to let you speak on that a little bit, just so people know who they are dealing with or listening to. So could you give us a little bit of your background?
Sure. Yeah. I was suicidal in 2008, and from that, I've spoken on stages in 18 countries, 8 languages, 4 continents. I've written a bestseller book, spoken on Tedx, Fox News, Sky TV, and really speak to large audiences, over 10,000 people. I've been invited by royalty, heads of state, governments, millionaires, billionaires, and help Wimbledon champions. I've helped Richard. I've had events on Richard Branson's island. He's attended one of my events. I've helped people like Mike Tyson. And I'm on a mission to move, touch, and inspire 1 billion people by December 2022. And this program is all about mindset. Mindset is everything. Mindset in the tennis world is game, set, and match. So it is everything. So Tony's on the right path. Yeah.
Thank you, Anil. So let's get into it. Anil, how do you define success?
Success, and if you change the definition of whatever you have, so I know a lot of people have success around money, but success is making progress. If every day you're making progress, you're successful. It's simple.
And simple as that, right?
It is. It's not like when I've got $10 million in the bank account. When you approach that, you want more. So it's a matter of just making progress.
I love it. And something that I always say is I always look to nature, right? So you take a seed and the seed falls on the ground, and how does it become successful, right? It takes roots, it starts to grow, it progresses, and as soon as that pops out of the ground, it's successful, right? It's progressing every day. And then when it gets to a point where it's bearing fruit, then it's living its actual purpose. So I love it.
But just, thinking about that, it was successful before the roots came up, because it had to go through so much adversity, to get to wherever it got to. So, that's the same in life. Don't avoid adversity. Adversity is your friend. Adversity can make you grow. So if you're going through some difficulties, know that if you handle it, it'll make you stronger and even stronger. And change the definition of success to success is making progress. Are you making progress? Are you better off last week or this week? If you're better off this week, you made progress.
I love it. So who is Anil Gupta, the person?
Who am I as a person? I'm fun, loving. I love to have fun, joke around, play tennis, and help people. That's my my forte. That's what turns me on.
Okay, so what is your why? What drives you to do all of that?
I have a very special gift, and I've been through so much. I don't want other people to suffer what I went through, because I didn't have the tools. So by me explaining what I went through, explaining my happiness formula, and going through the happiness test, I can explain to people that it's not as bad as you think, and there are methodologies and technologies that you can immediately apply to get you into a better place.
Yeah, and you mentioned your happiness formula. Could you share that with me?
What, do you know it?
Well, I know the 3 Gs. I know what the 3 Gs are, but I don't know the whole formula. So
well, it's very easy. It's G times G times G.
Mm-hmm.
So happiness is equal to GQ.
There you go.
First G's you have to give. Your time, your energy, your love, your commitment, your joy, your gift, your money. Give it away, but not wanting anything in return. A lot of people are very transactional. They'll give you something, but they want something back.
Yeah.
But giving is not transactional. It's unconditional. The second G is you have to be grateful for what you have and not focus on what you don't have. Just look at your hands. When was the last time you thanked them? Your eyes, imagine, how smoothly they work, how effortless they are, and what joy they give. You see, gratitude is a big thing. And the third G is you have to grow emotionally, physically, spiritually, and mentally. And if you do those 3 things, those 3 Gs, everything changes. Everything changes.
I love it. And then I also love how you go, you will say, evaluate where you're at on each one of those, and whichever is the lowest one, that's where you need to start working, right? And just increase your Gs.
At any given time, ask yourself, what's my lowest G? And in that moment, all you have to do is work on your lowest G.
I love it. Now, I guess, when did you come up with that? I mean, I know you were an optician, right? I think that's optometrist. Okay. And then you had 2008 happen and you started on this path. Were you on this path prior to that, or were you just focused on career and stuff prior to that?
So I had a career path until about 2002.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that wasn't what my true path was. So I moved to the USA, and then I was just searching and searching, and then the epiphany came in 2008. But people had told me before, Neil, you should be coaching. You've impacted my life. You've impacted a lot of people's lives. But I didn't really understand what coaching was. I thought it was something natural that everyone knew about. But later on, I found out it's not, and not everyone does know. And so I realized that, that's my genius. That's my gift. When you find something so easy that other people find hard, that's the definition of genius.
I love it. And so, and then just on your G formula, is that something that you formulated as you started coaching?
Well, yeah, I wrote the book, and I thought, maybe there is a formula for happiness. What would it be? And I was trying to work it out, and I wanted to keep it simple. And I looked at, what did I do? I grew. What else did I do? I gave. What else did I do? I was grateful. How could I put those together? If I put G plus G plus G, but what's stronger than a plus? It's a times. So then I thought, perfect. And and it works every single time.
I love it. Yeah, that's always stuck with me. That's just the first time I heard it, and that's what I've started to do. That is like evaluate my G's and where's my lowest G. So, all right, can you think of a major setback in your life that set you up for later success?
That really, I would say the biggest one was in 2008. I was on the verge of suicide. I wouldn't eat with a knife. I wouldn't walk up a flight of stairs. Even today, I cannot look over a big, tall building. So I feel that, that trigger. So, and that was the day I realized that my life isn't about money. My identity isn't around money. It's about making a difference. So I started using a different currency. Instead of using the US dollar as my currency, I started using the currency of love, making a difference, camaraderie, friendship, kindness, joy, generosity. And then I became a billionaire. So change the currency and become an instant billionaire.
I love that right there. And it's real. You guys, you'll hear Anil just say these things and then he'll leave it there, right? But it's really that simple. like change your mindset and change the meaning you give to things, and things will open up for you. Like it can be instant. You can be an instant billionaire. He just told you how. um, so, what is one of the best or most worthwhile investments you ever made? It could be an investment of time, energy, money, etc.
Best investment I ever made was probably marrying Mrs. Gupta.
Hmm.
Really, we both won the lottery there. So I think that would be the best investment, best decision I ever made.
Wow. And from that, AJ and Anu, one thing about your family, and I'll share this story. You remember the first time we did a Zoom call? You got all the Clubhouse group together and we did a Zoom call.
Yep.
And Anu showed up just to say hi. And every single one of you were moved to tears just by her presence. And that was so powerful to me.
Yeah.
Like when you talk about love, like that's the finest example I think I can come up with. It's just being moved to tears and emotions just from the presence of someone.
Yeah.
I thought that was really powerful, which I guess kind of leads me to the next question is, how do you define love?
Again, keep it very simple. Love is acceptance. If you accept the other person as they are, that's pure love. And it's not conditional. It's not, I'll love you if you do this. So very simple. Accept the other person as they are. Not judge them, not denigrate them, not gossip about them. Just accept them as they are. And that's what we do with friendships. But we don't do that with family. That's why we get so upset with family, and we can let our friends get away with so much.
Is we're not accepting them?
Yeah, so with family, we have so many more rules. They should have known better. They could have said this. Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? So more rules, more expectations, more attachments. With friends, we accept them as they are. So no rules, no expectations, no attachments. That's why we get on better with friends than we do with family.
That's powerful. So, what small act of kindness were you once shown that you'll never forget?
I remember I was in Toronto, and this man came up to me. He asked me where a particular place was, and I was in a bit of a rush. And he looked homeless, and he smelt a little bit. And I thought, no, I don't want. I've got somewhere important to go to. I was speaking somewhere, so I just pointed him in the direction. He crossed the street. He went into Starbucks, and he was in a line, and no one was serving him. And I thought, Anil, what you just did wasn't very kind. Go over and speak to him. And as I was going over, I looked across the street and I saw the exact address he wanted. So I said, sir, please forgive me. Let me show you where you need to go exactly. So I took him across and everything was fine. So I always remember that, because really it was a failing on my part. I was too busy to be kind. And you're never too busy to be kind.
I love that. And that was you being kind to someone else. But how about something someone's done for you? Is there something that you remember?
So many things. There's a friend of mine. He's a chiropractor, and he was with me at an event. I've never met him before. We sat and we started talking, and then as it happened, I dislocated my shoulder at the event. And then he put it back in, and he said, "Hey Neil, come and see me, and I'll treat you." And I thought, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, come and stay at my house." I said, "What?" He said, "No, come and stay at my house." And that's what he did. He treated me. He did, all the protocols. I stayed at his house, and we've been best friends ever since. So, acts of kindness produce so many beautiful new relationships.
Yeah. I can think of a couple people in our clubhouse room that you just met on a plane and or just met somewhere random, and you've maintained these relationships for many years just from being present and aware to what's going on around you and to the people around you. It's a great example. So in the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
Getting up early, so I get up around 6. I did get up around 5, but my pattern got broken. More productive and more at cause, meaning speaking more, giving away a lot more of my content, helping a lot more people, and really being focused on serving.
I love it. And was there something that happened that made you say, "Hey, I need to start getting up earlier," or anything like that, or was it just something that you kind of gradually got to?
Well, I'm getting older, and also Richard Branson gets up at 5. I wanted to emulate what he does. But really, it's just a matter of awareness. Awareness gives you clarity. Clarity gives you focus. Focus gives you action. Action gives you results. And results gives you momentum. And I realized that I have this gift. I need to share it with the world. And I didn't want to lead a life of mediocrity. So I thought, Anil, this is the time to really step up. Although I felt I stepped up, but really stepped up.
Yeah, I love that. That's something that AJ says to me. Like, I think at one point I was really excited to just like, "Hey man, like I'm almost to 10,000 views on Deeply Rooted," and his response was, "Great. So what more can you do?" I was like, "Oh,
Can't get away.
huh?
Can't get away."
Can't get away, right? There's more that can be done." Have you read The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma?
No.
I think you would really like that book. He has a great writing style.
I'll read that down.
The 5 a.m. Club. And it's basically about people. It seems like you're at a Tony Robbins event. There's a rich entrepreneur and an artistic type guy, and they're sitting next to each other, and they're watching the event, and basically the Tony Robbins figure collapses on stage, and there's what everybody leaves the arena, and they're just sitting there, and there's what seems to be a homeless guy comes up and starts talking to him, and it's all about the power of your morning routine. And this guy takes them on a great adventure, and he ends up being a billionaire. And like, so it's a really good read. And just the way Robin Sharma puts it into story form is really impactful. So I think that will help on your 5 a.m. or your early morning routine, because there's some good things and good stuff in there.
And you'll notice that a lot of very successful people, especially billionaires, get up at 5, sometimes a little bit earlier. So that's a great energetic time of the day to be alive and awake for.
Yeah, and that's been my wake up time for probably the last 7 or 8 months myself, and I do find value in it. Just the solitude. The world's quiet, everything's peaceful, and you can just kind of have your own time before everything starts going. So, Anil, what advice would you give to someone that's about to enter the real world? Coming out of high school, coming out of college, going into their adulthood. What advice would you give them?
Don't enter the real world. Because it's not real. It's full of superstition, fear, lack of abundance, scarcity. Do what you love. Be your own man. Be your own person. Live a life of joy, peace. Do what you love. The money will come. You see, imagine this. You become a doctor. Then as you become a doctor, you become a specialist. And then you become a specialist of a specialist. So you're so ingrained in that real specialty. Then what happens if that specialty disappears or you have an accident? Do what you love. Don't do what your parents want you to do. Don't be pleasing them. That's why a lot of people in their 40s decide, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do this. But they were there just to please their parents. Don't do that. Ask yourself, what is my greatness? What am I great at? What can I do better? What do I love doing? How could I make money out of this? And just go do it. There is no failure in doing what you love. None.
I love that. And if I'm not mistaken, both of your kids traveled the world when they were young, right?
We sent them around the world when they were 18, and they had to make their own way and find their own path and handle all the problems that they received. And they received a lot of problems. They had to do it. We weren't there to bail them out.
And you did that because the greatest gift you can give your children is the ability to handle adversity, right?
Yeah, and also I remember when I traveled, I really enjoyed it, and it brings a new perspective on your life. And it's best to do it early on in life, because later on in life it just gets more and more difficult. And the world was changing so rapidly. China was growing so rapidly. There were so many things going on in the world, and they get to experience it firsthand. And it allows them a situational intelligence that whenever something like adverse happens, they know how to handle it.
Yeah. And that's another thing that you talk of that really sticks with me too. Is even the story of when they were younger in London. I believe you guys were in London, and you had them find their way home from the subway, right? Or I guess it's the underground there.
Yeah, we were 10 feet behind them, but we allowed them to make mistakes, and they found a way. And that just gave them the knowledge that if anything ever comes similar to that, they know exactly what to do. And if it's something different, they can apply that knowledge. And it's a great gift. Nowadays, most parents are so protective of their children. They don't want their children to go through adversity, that the children become enabled. They just don't know how to handle a problem. And the relationship is affected because they just don't know how to handle adversity. And they become a little bit entitled.
It's powerful advice. Powerful advice.
Very painful.
Yeah, and it absolutely it can be. Our mantra here at Deeply Rooted is kill the ego, ignite the soul. What does that mean to you?
The ego is necessary, but the ego is necessary for you to show up the best version of you. So it's okay to have an ego, but the ego is really used as a way to serve other people. So if life is about you, you're not going to get anything done, because you can't work as a team. You can't focus on what the right thing to do is. But if you use the ego to share your gift, you can inspire leaders of leaders to create even more massive change. So don't be egocentric. Be world-centric. Give back to the world using your skill set, and the only way that you can do that is through awareness. So we need a little bit of ego just to keep us going. But if it's all about you, if you're doing things in order to get something back, if you're looking for acclaim, then that tells you there's a deeper issue, that you're seeking love or attention or comfort.
Yeah, and how about the ignite the soul part?
Well, in the moment you give, and the moment you serve, or the moment you're present to your genius, you're giving, and that will ignite the soul. It will inspire you. See, people don't want to be motivated, they want to be inspired. People don't want to be happy, they want to be fulfilled. So this is all internal. And when as you say, you're ignited, it's internal. It's incredible.
Such a great answer. And when I was speaking with Joel, he kind of pointed something out. The same thing you pointed out is kill the ego. We need the ego. It's there for a reason. It's just using it properly, right? So it's made me want to adjust this to dim the ego, ignite the soul, right? And I also like the contrast of light and dark and dim and light. So we will be changing that. But yes, thank you for that. So we all have this moment in our journey where we want to call it quits, where we are at our lowest, so to speak. And when you reached that point on your journey, how did you fight through and what kept you going?
There were two things. One was the support I had from Mina, my wife. She said, that she didn't care about the money. All she was concerned about was me, and that, nothing else was important, which was a shock to me because I thought, I had to provide financial aid. And the second thing was we started to give. In the moment you give authentically, all the pain and suffering disappears, and I kept on giving. So if you're in pain now, if there's a part of your life that isn't going right, remember one thing: give. When you give authentically, all the pain and suffering disappeared.
The secret to living is giving.
Absolutely. There's no question about that.
I love it. And Mina, I love how she just observes, she listens, she's present, and she speaks when she has something to say. But her voice to me, like if you were gonna make a cartoon and you wanted Mother Earth or the mother of all of us to like speak, you would use Mina's voice. She's like she has the mother of all mothers' voices. I just love Mina. She's so sweet. All right, so when you feel overwhelmed or unfocused or have lost your focus temporarily, what do you do?
I just stay unfocused.
Mm.
It's okay. Sometimes people beat themselves up. It's okay. I'm just being human, but I can't stay in that place. It's like when a child cries, let it cry until it's had enough.
Mm.
So if I'm unfocused, I enjoy being unfocused until I'm saying, you know what, I'm ready to move on. See, a lot of people beat themselves up. You don't need to beat yourself up. People ask me, hey, what's your morning routine? You know what it is?
Mm.
I wake up. That's it. I don't do any rituals. I don't do this. I don't do this. I wake up. That's my morning ritual. People say, oh, I have to have one. It's got to be special. It's got to be outstanding. No. If it works for you, it works for you.
Yeah, I love that. And there's definitely power in being in the moment and feeling things for what they are. Even the worst thing, like the worst thing you've ever done, you're embarrassed or you're like, I can't believe I did that. Taking the time to feel how that feels allows you to know where you don't want to go back to. Right? You know what happens. It's like sticking your hand in fire. Once it burns you, okay, I don't want to do that again. But you have to actually feel it to know that. Yes. So if you could have one gigantic billboard that the entire world would see, what would it say and why?
I would say be so amazing that you cannot be ignored. And if all of us, became the best versions of ourselves and showed up even more amazing than we are, the world will change. We can affect the world by just showing up differently, the best version of ourselves, so that we can make a bigger impact and create even more leaders.
I love it. And there's actually another part that you add to the end of that.
There is, and it's this: be so amazing that you cannot be ignored. And if you are ignored, it doesn't matter, because how you show up on this planet will be this magnificent soul. So you don't have to wait for other people to see you. Just be amazing, even if people can't see you, and you will feel so much more better, so much stronger, so much more powerful.
Such great advice. I don't know, Anil. You're like Yoda to me. You just use very few words, and then you have such a big impact with the words. So, so I have a music background. So this question is for that, because I just like to know how music affects people. So do you have a song that you might consider the soundtrack to your life, or a song that you turn to for strength or motivation?
Yeah, I mean, my wife and I like The Bodyguard.
Mm.
We like songs like Sweet Carolina, where you sing along, the Beatles, Simon and Garfunkel. Um, and music is everything, because I remember being in a store the other day, and I was going to do a post about it. A song came up and I instantly felt differently.
Mm.
And I almost teared up, So music is everything. The words, the lyrics, the feeling, everything that we do as human beings, we do for a feeling, and the music will give us that feeling. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, there's something that struck me at UPW is the way they used music, and how you're right. That music, the right song can change just like that, change your whole attitude, your whole feeling. And spending so many years creating music, I had never really experienced it impact people like that. Like, there's 10,000 people in the room and everybody's jumping and dancing and like that is powerful. And so it kind of led me back to, because I retired from production at the beginning of the year, just one aspect that I do in music. But it kind of led me back to like, okay, I want to do some music like that, where I can inspire people and change the way they feel simply just by my art and my contribution. So that was something I learned too. You're right. Music is vibration and energy.
Yeah, absolutely. It means a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah, and the opposite is also true, especially, in certain genres of music, things are really negative and the energy is negative, and that can have the same effect on you, just in the opposite way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, that's pretty much the questions I have. The last thing, Anil, is I just like to tell my viewers, is what can we do to support you? What can we do to help you, Anil?
I would love to speak on more stages. If there's groups of people that I can spread the message here, that would be amazing. I'm on a mission to reach 1 billion people in 12 months' time. So have to get even going faster. So if you know of groups, Rotary clubs, or what are they called, masterminds, I can speak at charities. I'll speak for free. So if anyone has an opening for a speaker, I gladly speak for free.
Awesome, thank you. And do you have any events or anything coming up, or anything pressing?
Nothing pressing at the moment, but
Okay.
they can just find me at meetanil.com.
meetanil.com. So thank you, sir. I know I tell you all the time, man, but I really honor you and respect you. And you set a fine example for all of us to follow, be it as a parent, be it as a man, be it as a husband, and or as a master at your craft, right? So I thank you a million times.
Thank you.
Thank
All right. Take care.
And
Bye.
you tell the family I said hi. I'll see you guys in the morning.
All right. I'll do that now.
All right.
Okay.
Have a good one. Yeah. So that's what I love about that guy. It's just not a lot of words needed. It's very simple, a lot of this stuff. And we get in our own heads and we get in our own way. And, you know, one thing I do, like I was just saying, one thing I really take from him is just how he shows up in the world. Even from this, right? These are t-shirts that he wears almost anytime you see him, and the heart is just symbolizes love, right? And he gives them to people, and it just represents truly who he is. And I've learned so much from him, and I'm very proud of myself and honored to have this conversation and to make this available for you guys, man. And I hope you got some help there, and learn something, because that's why I do this. There's no other reason. I don't make money from this. It's not, my ego's not attached to it. I do this so these conversations can be put out in the world forever. And it might not help somebody for 20 years, but it'll be there. you know. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. You can find us, you know, check out the website, thedeeplyrootedshow.com, Instagram, Facebook group. We just started TikTok, which is actually kind of fun for me. Just putting different clips and stuff up there. So stay tuned, man. Thank you guys so much. Love you. Have a great Sunday.